Welcome to another Tuesday Live. It is January 10th. Thank you for joining me. It's going to be a good night. Well, lots of things to cover. Going to try to do it as close to an hour and 15 tonight as we possibly can. not keep you guys here all night. But we are going to talk macros and hopefully build a couple. Today, I discovered that there is a new DJI Gimble, the RS3 Mini. So we're going to look at that for a few minutes and just talk about that. Is it a game changer for gimbals? And a couple things we'll point out. Update on the Stream Deck Plus series that I'm working very hard on. Actually spent some time yesterday with a software designer. We'll talk about that so that I can integrate the Stream Deck Plus with Premiere Pro and also advise people that are using DaVinci Resolve. So we'll talk about that tonight as well. But I want to welcome everybody in the chat. It is great to be with you again tonight. Had a couple little glitches tonight. Skycam is in op, will not work. It works fine, the Instant 360 link, but I could not get it to come alive in OBS tonight, which is how I share it in the still images at the very beginning. So let's do this. Let's put the chat on the screen here and say hi to some folks. Okay, so chat on the air. And let's just say hi. Early bird tonight was DJ Ware. Welcome. It's good to have you with me. Followed by Doug Force, and then not sure about this, but it's good to have you, Tony. If you're in Jamaica tuning in on a Tuesday night live, I applaud you. I should have my applause ready in my Rodecaster Pro, but I am not prepared to do that. Let's see. Also, we have Lieutenant A.K. Allen in the house. It is good to have you too as well. And I think that covers the gamut tonight. Hopefully we'll have some more people join us. We do have a lot of things to cover. Let me just go back here and now look at your comments here before we get rolling, because I am going to roll tonight. Let's see. I like this. I agree, Doug. Oops. I had the little robot up there. He's right here. And he made a cameo in the intro. All that intro tonight was recorded yesterday in OBS. We're going to take a look at that here shortly, and I'll kind of show you how that was put together. I'm using the face cam, which is live right now. So that's how I put that all together. So we'll talk about that. But thank you for the comment on the robot. Let's see what else we have here. Thank you. Why is that not going on there? Oh, it was just delayed. Thank you. I really had some fun picking out that track. Lots of fear and trepidation. And it's kind of cool. It's got a number of different versions and really fun to look for music. I'm not sure I will be using that all year, but there are different versions of that. And I kind of built that intro tonight together with those different versions. So it started out just kind of instrumental. Then it went into another version, which has the whistling. And then I combined the instrumental track with the whistling. So literally I had that last portion with two tracks on the timeline, stereoed. So just decided I would mix it up. So thank you for noticing that. Let's see what else we have here. Hank popped in. It's good to have you, Hank. I don't want to miss anybody. I really do appreciate you guys joining me. And that's awesome. Good to have you. I'm just trying to look at this here. Thank you, Lieutenant A.K. Allen. Yep, that's the new track. Kind of not using the other music anymore right now. And it sounds like, Tony, you are in Jamaica. So you have to let us know a little bit about that. Must be a vacation, tuning in to Tuesday Night Live, supporting me from Jamaica. That's really cool. Back in the States, 117. Well, I hope you have an amazing time in Jamaica. I got a chance to get off a boat and go up the Dunn's River Falls. Hopefully you're going to do that while you're there. Hopefully the weather's really nice. That was a blast. That's literally, they take you from the beach up the falls, and really, really, really cool experience. And that would be really cool. It's good to see you here, Keto FM. And Freddie, it's great to see you. Congratulations. Tell your daughter happy birthday. So again, Keto's here. Welcome, Keto. And Freddie's got a birthday. So congratulations. Please let her know that Keith and Shannon are wishing her the absolute best night ever. And I pray that that's amazing. And you have a great night too, Freddie. And hopefully you enjoy the playback if you get a chance to watch it. So tonight I wanted to touch base on a few things that I really think are important for live streaming. I want to go right to OBS here first. So let me get it up here on the screen, and then let me do this. And there we are in SuperSource, which is a feature of the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. Then you have the new SDI version. And I haven't said it in a while, but we should note that the new SDI versions would have to be converted if you're using HDMI cameras, but they do boast of more outputs. In fact, the SDI Extreme ISO, I think there's two models. There might only be one, just the Extreme ISO, but it has not just two outputs, but it has 4 outputs. That's very enticing to me. And then the ATEM Mini has 2 outputs, the Mini Pro ISO, also multi-view. And then you have SuperSource only in the Extreme versions, and this is SuperSource on the screen. I will be featuring DVE a little bit later, so hopefully you'll join me for that. But I just want to pull back the layers right here just so you can see the face cam is live, and that's how I was able to do that intro. We'll get my Voltec guy down here, and I was just simply walking this into the still image like this, and peeking him around and trying to keep my hand out of the frame. But that was quite fun. So that's a live frame tonight that you guys can see. And then, so if I start pulling back some layers here, I added this. I heard about the DJI RS3 Mini today, and we're going to talk about that. So I put that in the still image tonight. So, but it wasn't in the intro video because I recorded that late yesterday. But here is the DJI layer off. And you can see right here, I have a scene on the left. And then right here is where I have all my sources. The nice thing about OBS, it's a great tool in my opinion, to build intro videos. It's just less time consuming, more intuitive, in my opinion, than trying to use like Premiere Pro. And I think the reason I like it is because I'm thinking as a live streamer, because I'm recording these things, not live, but I'm basically using a preview and live screen, which you see on there. And you can go out of that, that setting by turning off studio mode here on the bottom right and just have, you know, that screen right there. But I prefer studio mode, and OBS keeps getting updated. It's just a great tool. You can stream live from it, but I wanted to show you guys how to break this down. So then I have creating macros, which is a PNG I made in Adobe Illustrator. And then Stream Deck Update, that's the font right there. Again, that was made inside the OBS font creator. So if I double click on that, I can open it up here, and you can see I typed out Stream Deck Plus Series Update. And then I can go down here and choose color. I have a outline on, and it's black right here, and you can see that it is an outline of 4 right here. And then if you scroll down, you can also do a background, which I don't have a background. Actually, I think I do have a background on this. Yeah, it's right here. Here's the slider. So I could change the transparency of that background around that font. So if we hit OK, now it's a little darker background around that. Then if I turn that off, then I come down here and I have the live stream logo, which I did make that in Adobe Illustrator, and I use that every week for my still images. But I usually build my still images in Adobe Illustrator, export them as a JPEG, and then I bring them into Photoshop to just make sure that I get the right size for both YouTube and for OBS, but this time I just deleted everything else with the new file, kept my live streaming main logo, and then made it a PNG so I could just drop it in this still image as a image file. And again, if you click on that live stream logo, this is what you would get when you create that input when you're doing an image, and then you just have to tell it where the location is. So you browse all over your hard drive or wherever you have your files stored at. And I make a different folder every week for every live. So I have a January 10th, 2023 folder for tonight. So everything that I build goes in there. So if I ever want to reference this, I can go back. And if I forget what I did when, I have the history on YouTube, as long as I have the history on YouTube. And then I can just go look for that folder for that particular live. So again, I can now go turn that off, and then I have the Stream Decks, which I can turn the Stream Deck off. And then if I keep going down from layer to layer to layer, then I've got my ATEM Mini Extreme and Mini Pro in the picture. And now it's all stripped away, and you just have the camera. So all of that. And so you notice that nothing changed in the live window because I can be working in the preview window, and it's not going to affect the live window. But as soon as I hit transition, so I'll hit the transition bar right here, then everything on the left changes over there. So normally I'm using OBS to make my intro videos, and I'm normally only adding my clock. Let's see if my clock is here somewhere. There it is. So there's my timer. So if I was to take my timer live right now in transition, then I have it white tonight, and it will then start counting down. And you can see it right there. I don't have everything locked, so I'm not going to move that, but I can. Let's just lock everything else here real quick. And as I lock these, then I have control over what I move. I won't move anything accidentally. And I have lots of things in here I'm not using, but I think I have them all locked. So now I only have this one layer unlocked. And so now I can drag it around the screen, and I can put it wherever I wanted it. So if I wanted it on the front of the Batmobile, I can hit transition. There it is. If I want to make that clock bigger, there it is. And then if you hold down your mouse and hold down Alt and your mouse at the same time right here on this side, then you can get rid of these outside numbers. So you just slide it over until all you get is the 5, and you got to make sure you don't crop part of that off. Then you let go. So you position your mouse on that left handlebar in the center, and then you hit the Alt key and then your mouse at the same time, and you can slide that over. Otherwise, you're just resizing. But I can put that clock anywhere. And so that's how I used OBS to make tonight's still. And I could have done the whole thing live and played that image in the live stream, but I wanted to continue to use my HyperDeck and be able to get some work done in here before I went live. So that's OBS. And just so you know, in the time clock, it's an insert. So you find those up here in your tools, and we won't talk about how to make a time clock tonight, but there you can see it counting down. I have it set for 7 minutes. That's my intro, and we were a little bit late tonight getting started. I got sidetracked, but there's all the different settings, colors, backgrounds, just like a regular font. Then I can cancel that, and again, that time clock's going to run until I transition, and now it's going to turn off, and then you can have an ending message at the end of your time clock. So that's kind of a look at how I used OBS to make tonight's intro. And OBS is a great tool. You can stream from it, but remember, you're going to be encoding and streaming from your PC if you're in OBS, and that always could be a challenge. You could use OBS and then the HDMI output and go into a web presenter and stream on the web presenter. You could also record in OBS. That's how I do my intro videos. I record right in OBS. I can bring audio in to OBS, especially if you're using like a USB microphone or using the new Wave plug-in tool with like the Wave mics, and now you can use the Wave plug-in tool with the Stream Deck Plus, and control all your different sound devices when you're in Zoom or when you're in Microsoft Meetings or whatever software you're using, even recording in Adobe Audition or in DaVinci Resolve. If you need to do some voiceover, you'd be able to control all that using the Wave software up to 9 inputs coming into your PC, and that's pretty cool. I've played with the Wave plugin, but because I use the Rodecaster Pro as my centerpiece, I want to run all my audio to it, to my computer, and then from it into the live show, and that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm running Rodecaster Pro Channel 1 into the live stream. So, and I also have my lapel mic on if we need to get up and get around, but that's just a real quick look at OBS. Let's catch up here in the chat. And we lost Freddie, but just a couple notes there. Congratulations. Tony's celebrating his wife's 55th birthday. Thank you for sharing that, and happy birthday, Tony's wife. Not had the honor or the privilege to meet her yet, but may have seen some shadows in some of your videos. I can't quite keep track, but so there you have it. OBS is a great tool, and I always want to try to cover little bits and pieces of live streaming tech. I am kicking around a 20-minute video series live covering different tools, different features, trying to do a live for people on the same morning instead of night. So that's something you guys can give me your feedback on. I still would be live every Tuesday. This would just be covering one thing. Like I might cover the Wacom tablet and using it for pop-out chat. I might do one on just how I set up pop-out chat in OBS. I might do one on the Stream Deck and how I use it. And then I might do one on Companion. I might do one on the Rodecaster Pro, how I use it with my ATEM Mini Extreme and all of that. Maybe do one on the DJI mic and how you can bring it into your live stream. Might just do one on the BenQ monitor, which I have in my studio, and then just each of the pieces in here, how to use them, and maybe that will help people out there that are trying to make a decision on how you might want to live stream. So, chug a little coffee. Okay, so wanted to talk just a little bit update about the Stream Deck. And my Stream Deck Plus series. I have 5 videos recorded. That's right, 5 videos recorded. I'm working on another video. The video I'm working on is probably the hardest one. It's why I haven't released the series. Video 1 is mostly edited. I plan on editing all day tomorrow, all day Thursday. So hopefully by Friday this week, I will start releasing those. I think I'm going to release them every 2 days until all 6 are released. So there are going to be lots of videos going on my channel. I'm also brainstorming Studio B, but we'll talk about that tonight at the end. So the Stream Deck Plus, let me change cameras here to my overhead camera. Shut off the air. And overhead and me, there you go. So I'll take my little glass case, stick it right there to get that propped up, go full screen on my monitor so I can see what you guys see and make sure that I'm perfectly focused here, and probably could get just a tad bit closer. So that is obviously my Stream Deck Plus. And you can see as of right now, I have some buttons and I have some dials set up. And one of the things that I've learned just studying and learning everything I can about the Stream Deck Plus is that not only can you push the buttons to activate like single devices, which I've covered, and I'll cover that in my video, you can also create stacks, and I don't have any stacks right here on that page, but let's use the LCD screen to go left or right. I do have stacks on this page. And so when I push the button, it changes what's on the stacks. So that's volume for my PC, believe it or not. And they have some new things they just added in I think it's like 6.012 or something like that, the version. And so they are adding more things. You can also use shortcuts, and we'll talk a little bit about that later in this segment on the Stream Deck Plus. But you can use shortcuts to create buttons, and a lot of people make packs to be able to use shortcuts by using the plugins that you can do in some of the software, from DaVinci Resolve to Lightroom to Adobe Premiere. And so they make these packs, and we're going to look at a company that does that. I actually have downloaded 2 packs that are going to be in my next Stream Deck Plus video that hopefully I'll be recording in the next 2 days. But again, the buttons change pages basically when there's a stack, and you just drag the stack icon over, and I'll cover that in my video series. But when you don't have a stack, then this doesn't switch pages by pushing the button. And obviously you can dial right and left for volume, and that's changing the volume on my computer. I can see it on my screen. And so when you have a single dial button, you can just tap the screen and you can turn it on and off, or you can tap the button and turn it on and off. So you can tap screen, you can slide left and right to change pages. There's 3 pages there. I have some zoom icons on page 3, page 2. I have 1 stack and 3 things set up. Then that's pretty much full, but I do not have any stacks. And these are my Elgato lights right here. Then up here, what I did is I wanted to use the face cam with the Stream Deck Plus, and I wanted to see what kind of buttons you could create. So with my face cam, my Elgato face cam, not the face cam Pro, the one that I was using tonight to make the intro video, I set it up. I could zoom in 50% and zoom out with a push of a button. I created the ability to change the contrast up and down with some buttons just to play with it, getting ready for recording another video, because learning how it integrates with other Elgato tools, learning how to use it with the new Wave plugin that used to only be active if you had like a Wave 3 microphone, or you had the little round XLR Wave device. Now it's activated with the Stream Deck Plus, so you get to be able to use this as a controller for the Wave plugin, and that's a cool feature, and I will cover that in a video as well in my Stream Deck Plus series. But I wanted to just kind of cover some of the updates and some of the things I'm learning. And then what I want to do is I want to go over here to my desktop and show you these plugins that I just, let's do this. So this company is called SideshowFX.net, and I got a chance to talk back and forth. You can see the chat pops up on the screen, so you can enter your email there and chat with them. And I had a great chat experience with them yesterday morning, and making sure that I knew what I was getting myself into. They gave me links to their video on how to use the new pack. But I wanted you guys to see they have, and this is not sponsored by them, but you can see how many different plugins they have, and pages and pages of tools here. I even saw, as you scroll down here, not only are there all these different Stream Deck sizes that they have packs for, like the XL and the smaller ones with 15 keys, and then the tiny one, but they also now are designed for the Stream Deck. So here's plugins for Cubase. They also have the louder deck, which is very popular. I do not own one. Over here you can see the Windows version Stream Deck Plus color panel for DaVinci Resolve, so you can actually color in DaVinci Resolve. And again, they're using hotkeys, but they do all the work for you, including all the icons. Here's Stream Deck Plus Pro for DaVinci Resolve, and that's the profiles. So you have all of these plugins, and they also make them for Adobe Premiere Pro, and that's the pack I downloaded for both my my Plus and my XL. And so I have 2 packs now, and I plan on using my Stream Deck XL in my studio when I'm doing some editing. I probably will miss the dials because you can do some scrubbing forward and back. I think they use buttons to go forward and back on the timeline. When they use the XL pack, I have not installed it yet. I'll be working on installing that tomorrow and videotaping the process after I watch their videos for installation a number of times. But the XL, the Plus, will travel with me. So when I have to do work on the road, hopefully in Jamaica sometime, Tony, I will be able to use the mobile Stream Deck Plus as a road gig. It'll always be here when I'm in town live streaming. It'll be hooked up in the studio. I'll also be using it in my table over here. I have my foot pedal right now, the Elgato foot pedal, which has 3 buttons on it that you can set up the tension of the springs and all of that. I have them set up so that the first button on the pedal changes my camera angle over here with new lighting. So I don't change my camera angle, but I change the lights. And then the far right pedal changes the lighting back to this set. And now I can do that on the floor anytime I want to flip over and use this camera. And why would I do that? Sometimes when I'm demoing things with a client, I need to be using this camera because it just looks better when I'm in Super Source, when I'm looking this way. Like right now, it'd be a better choice of a camera because this is the direction my body's looking towards Super Source. So it just makes a better solution. And I could switch to that right now just so you guys could see it happen live, because that's what this is all about. So I go into Super Source and change box 1 from camera 2 to camera 1. And now I'm in this camera, but the light isn't right. So I tap the button and it should have changed the lights, did it? Yep. So now I have different lighting. And so if I was talking, and see, now I'm really facing the wrong direction again. So you would flip flop Super Source to do that. So let's switch back over, and I'm having to mouse all of this. So let me go back over to the other camera. There we go. And move my microphone. And obviously you're moving a microphone as well. That's what makes the lapel mic a great choice when I'm doing working here with clients. And I like to keep it fired up and on me, and I can switch to it at any time. So these packs are pretty cool. They're about $32, $34. They have discounts if you buy more, one at the same time. You do have to download them. You do have to do some installing in the back end of your software. And you also, like in Adobe Premiere, every time they do an update, you have to do an install into those new updates. I don't think these plugins transfer, so keep that in mind if you're doing like Adobe Premiere or After Effects. But anyway, it's going to be fun for me to learn not only how to use these plugins, but see all the work. And they're very, very large files when you download them and unzip them, but quite fascinating. So I was looking here for the pack that I bought. Here's Lightroom for the Stream Deck Plus. You can see how many plugins. Here is Photoshop for Stream Deck Plus. So if you'd like to use your Stream Deck Plus with Photoshop, again, and all these will be faster keys, easier editing. And then here's the kit that I will be installing and showing everybody in my training video. And I may even do one on installing the pack to the Stream Deck XL, which is the largest Stream Deck they have. And I use it here in my studio. But here's the pack. 870 shortcut icons. And so lots and lots of options here. And the icons look great. And so the investment's been made, relationship with SideshowFX.net has been established. Again, no sponsorship, just starting my relationship with them, building my YouTube channel. And obviously I take those relationships very serious and always want to continue to invest in different products that people are out there designing. So they've done all the work, but you can see you have bundles. So you can purchase bundles. You have the Loop Deck, I think it's called, actually, the Loop Deck, that section here, Stream Deck Plus, a whole category now, and they're building plugins right now, meeting deadlines, I'm sure. And then Touch Portal, which I don't know much about this Touch Portal. It must be a plugin in the iPad, it looks like. So you could probably turn your iPad in to something as well, and I'll have to do some research on that and come back and report to you guys about Touch Portal. So I am thoroughly enjoying the Stream Deck, and it's been plus it's been a blast learning it. I do really get excited about the technology when it advances, and like I said, adding knobs, adding touchscreens. And I was just going to say, as we cut back to my overhead camera here, looks like it's still live. I wanted to say that you also, when you use it in direct correlation with some of the Elgato plugins, and I don't have one right now, you can actually not just tap, but you can hold down, which is another way of using the LCD screen. And I have not covered that in my video series yet because I just discovered it. So as they add more plugins, I think it resets everything to default is the main use of that. So you would tap it to turn things on and off. And if you wanted to change back to the default settings, then you would hold it down, and it is supposed to work in the Wave plugin. I have not tested it yet, but that's kind of my report. And they're going to be continued to make updates and integration. And I really do think the Stream Deck Plus is a great device to be adding to your studio if you decide to go that route. Again, I'm not getting a kickback, but you can support the channel by using the links in the description. They are Amazon associate links, and I thank you for that. I was going to show you guys also as we get ready to talk macros here in just a minute, which I'm sure that's what most of you came tonight to maybe do. But we wanted to talk about one more thing before we dive into that, and that is this new device that's available now from DJI. Let me do this first. Let me touch base with the chat here. Oops, let's cut back to that camera. And then let me just see what's happening here in the chat. Tony, it looks like you're still here. Thanks for joining us. It looks like Learn Blue Iris. Hey, Keith, it's Joe. This is my new channel. Oh, okay. It's good to have you, Joe. Glad you're starting a new channel. That's awesome. You'll have to tell us a little bit more about that. It sounds like it's going to be about learning Blue Iris, so that's really cool. I will appreciate every like. It really does help. The channel is not growing very fast, but I did have more growth in December to January in the last 30 days than I did last year. But overall, my channel subscriptions are down, and a lot of that's on me for not doing a lot of uploaded videos, and I needed to put more timestamps in my live streams, and I am going to work on that. But good to have you here, Joe. Yeah, it looks like I'm caught up in the chat, so let's take that off the air. And let's see, where are we going now? I want to show you. I think I can just hit this, see if my macros are working right. Yep, there we go. And there I am. So this is actually using the media player. It's in the background, and I'm in a DVE. So this is one option that you can do with just using a DVE if you don't have Super Source. And occasionally I get questions on my channel about how do you do picture-in-picture and how do you do something like Super Source. And I will be demoing that in next week's live, I believe. I want to talk a little bit about how you can milk the ATEM Mini for a little bit more. And I do have a Mini Pro here. And before it goes into Studio B, I want to do a little bit in the live streams on it. And I will talk more about Studio B at the end of the night. But guess what? We have a new toy available to us. And I'm not a big gimbal guy. I do have a DJI Ronin S, and I do have a Osmo 6, which is the mobile gimbal, and it's right in my backpack in the hallway. And I could bust that out and use it to walk around the studio when I'm casting my phone. And I just use my Apple TV latency and all. And some of you guys are using RTMP, and that's great. I will eventually move over to that. But I want to talk about this device. And the reason I put this screen up first is that if you look closely, you have a portrait mode, and this is a very, very light gimbal. And in fact, I have the teleprompter ready tonight to be able to show you guys a little bit information about what was on their website, but let's talk just a little bit more about this device. I'm going to just drop some slides in here behind me. So if you don't know what it is, this is the new DJI Mini Gimbal. And here's a little bit more info. You can use it with a DJI mic. You have size comparisons. There's the new RS3 Pro, and this is the RS3 Mini. Now, this is perfect for me because think about it. One of the things that I was taking with me to the Dallas factory, and hopefully that gets rescheduled here in the next 3 weeks. One of the things that I was really going to do is take that big Ronin S gimbal, and I've invested a lot of money in it. I have attachments, but after looking at this today, I'm very, very enthralled, and the price is great. We'll talk about that here in a minute. It's for mirrorless cameras. I don't think it will handle my 5D Mark IV or my 5D Mark III, and I'll show you the specs here in a second. But the exciting thing is it will handle my EOS R, and my EOS R also shoots 4K. And as I finalize getting my studying done for my pilot's test, and that is on the schedule this next 2 weeks as well, to do a lot of cramming and then schedule that. I'd like to be licensed going into the springtime. I'm not rushing that, but I'm getting closer. Plan on doing some more flying this week and practicing with my DJI Mini 3 Pro. But this gimbal really is enticing because it has the portrait mode. And one of the things I was going to have to do is be switching between my camera rig and my Osmo rig, because I was going to be doing some shorts for them as well and some walkthrough videos in portrait. The fact that this Ronin S3 Mini has the ability to do this portrait mode, I'm very, very, very captivated. You can see it there in portrait, and you can see it there in landscape. And obviously video typically is landscape, but we have moved into the short world. And many of my clients are using their cameras and doing lots of shorts, and wisely so, because you get some fast algorithms. There's certain times of the days where you really should be releasing your shorts. And I'm not talking about the shorts you're wearing, the short videos on Facebook and all the platforms on YouTube. But this is a very, very interesting device. And again, here is a look at it itself, the DJI Ronin 3 Mini, and you can see the size comparison, which that really caught my eye because they're getting smaller and more compact. And the DJI RS3 was something I did look at right before Christmas, but wasn't planning on buying it. But this DJI RS3 Mini is very enticing, and it's not expensive at all. So we're going to look at that here in just a minute. So I think that's all the slides I had. But again, I also love the fact that you can just pop the DJI mic kit, the receiver on top of the camera. Then you have a microphone for both you and your other person you're interviewing. These mics sound really good. Obviously, I believe in boom poles. I believe in all of that. And if it's a very high-end shoot, then obviously I'm going to bid it so that I can take some of my family that does boom for me and record in higher-end recording devices, which is more like professional video. But in reality, this gimbal and this microphone kit would really be a solution for the whole shoot, going down to Dallas to that factory RV manufacturer, Forest River, and doing that shoot. So we'll see if that gets rescheduled. Again, it got canceled in December because of horrible weather down in Oregon. And so hopefully sometime in the very near future, we will be rocking into that factory. So, and then let's do this. Let's go to that camera and cut back to multi-view there. I've been having some issues with my stream, my HyperDeck Shuttle, intermittently not wanting to play things. I got it working now, so let me cut over to this view. So here's some of the specs. I am going to pop up the big monitor so I can see this as well and talk you guys through it. And again, in the HyperDeck Shuttle, if you just hold down the jog and scroll wheel, then you can use the big jog wheel to slowly scroll up and down. But here's some of the basic information I pulled right off the PDF release information from their site today. It's not all of it. But the RS3 Mini is a professional single-handed 3-axis gimbal, specifically designed for mirrorless cameras. It is compatible with a wide range of mainstream cameras and lenses and supports a tested payload of up to 2 kilograms or 4.4 pounds. The DJI Ronin S3 Mini boasts enhanced gimbal performance thanks to a third-generation RS stabilizer algorithm. So they've got new algorithms. And the RS3 Mini weighs 850 grams, which makes it lightweight for users to carry on the go. And remember, we all kind of know that weight category of our drones. So really, it's like my little DJI Mini with the battery in it, Pro 3. It's about 30% heavier than that. So that's pretty fascinating. And then it says the gimbal can be switched between horizontal and vertical shooting without additional accessories, with a 1.4-inch full color touchscreen. So it's full color. User can calibrate the gimbal, set parameters. Users can control the gimbal movement, shutter recording, and camera focus using onboard buttons. That's really cool. So it's very similar to how the Osmo works. And most of you guys know, oh, that's in my backpack. I have the new Osmo 6 to be able to use with my iPhone, but that's not going to work with my my Canon R camera, mirrorless camera. So let's go on here. Mini can be paired with mainstream mirrorless cameras via Bluetooth for wireless camera control. So some of the newer Bluetooth cameras can be paired with it. I don't think that's going to be an option for my mirrorless camera. So have to come up with solutions or maybe upgrade to a different camera. So with the NATO port, accessories such as the DJI RS briefcase handle can be used. The grip has a built-in battery with a capacity of 2450 milliamp hours, providing a maximum runtime of 10 hours, which is great. I would be doing a 6 to 7, 8 hour shoot when I'm out doing a day, and I could buy an extra handle. I'm not sure. I didn't check to see if it has a detachable handle, but I also have my charging case. When I'm not using it, I can charge it. After connecting to the Ronin app, easily control gimbal movements and parameter settings with intelligent functions such as panorama, time-lapse, and track. So you can do facial tracking, evidently, with the app with this gimbal. That would probably be on a tripod or someone else operating while you are operating the gimbal. They're operating the software. With the ability to carry a weight of up to 2 kilograms, 4.4 pounds, the RS3 Mini supports a range of mainstream mirrorless cameras and lenses, combinations such as Sony A7S3 with a 24-70 f2.8, Canon EOS R5, RF 24-70, f2.8, Fuji XF with the lenses. And so have to really look at the weights and make sure that it's going to work for you. And I'm still digging to see how this will work. And then it says native vertical shooting. In order to meet the needs of today's vertical video creation, the RS3 Mini features a freshly designed dual layered quick release plate. By attaching the quick release plate to the vertical arm, vertical shooting can be achieved without the need of additional accessories, and the gimbal rotation angle is not limited. Compared to traditional vertical mode, short video social media content can be shot with ease. RS3 Mini also features an upper plate with a new curved placement guide, which prevents the camera from rotating and loosening. Third generation stabilization, lightweight and powerful. RS3 Mini is a professional stabilizer that will bring an unprecedented, easy and flexible landscape or street shooting experience to users of all levels, achieving a portability and a professional at the same time. DJI third generation stabilizer algorithm has found in the RS3 Pro has been utilized in the RS3 Mini to provide outstanding performance, whether the user is running, shooting at the low angle, or a flashlight mode. Content stability is ensured throughout shooting, and professional level image stabilization can be achieved regardless of the user's experience. When users are shooting around human subjects, the RS3 Mini achieves smooth camera movements effortlessly. Users don't need to pay too much attention to footwork and pace, as the RS3 Mini can follow people steadily and switch between high and low angles for more diverse range of shots. Dynamic 360-degree rotation images delivers a strong visual impact and eye-catching shot. So again, not sponsored, but there you go. $369 it looks like in the United States. So in reality, you could buy an ATEM Mini Pro at regular price. You could buy a DJI RS3 Mini at that kind of basic price. So not bad. It'll be interesting to watch some of the reviews, some of the other influencers that I love here on YouTube, and see if it's something that we should all consider. But there you go. I did not plan on having to cover this tonight, but I discovered it and had to add it to our conversation tonight. So any thoughts or feedback on that device? What are you thinking about that new RS3 Mini? Is it something that you would consider, or it might be useful for you? Might use it as a mobile camera in your studio. Again, interesting tool for us all to consider for what we're doing here in live streaming. So let's put chat back on the air and see what we got here. Joe says he learned about this new gimbal. Pretty cool. Thank you for joining us, Ruben. It's great to have you. Let us know if you have a channel and where you're from. We'd love to hear it. And if this is your first time joining us, let me know as well. But everybody say hi to Ruben in the chat. Thanks for joining, Tony, all the way from Jamaica. We'll have to cover macros with you later, because that's what we're about to do, is dive in and make a macro. And Joe says, learn Blue Iris, may need to buy that. So the A7S3 is pretty heavy with a 24-70, and it says it can do it. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, my EOS R Canon, I'm pretty much Canon user, committed to the glass from the first version, bought the Canon 5D Mark III, which is my overhead camera, and then invested in a 5D Mark IV. A couple years later, then the EOS R, and I'm still considering possibly adding my overhead camera at be an RP, or maybe buy an RP for Studio B. I haven't decided yet. but it's a great camera for live streaming, and it just doesn't have as many features as the EOS R. So lots of good cameras out there. Big Sony fan. Do some installs using some Sonys. There's some great Sony cameras for live streaming. They work great. The clients I've used them with have not had any problems at all, and they're on hooked to the back wall all the time. So, okay, cool to have some new blood. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you're watching in the background, please consider subscribing and joining the chat. I haven't really looked to see if we have more people in the background, and the likes really help the algorithm and help for all the work. So turn multi-view on back there and hit record for this next segment, because I do want to record this part on the macro recording ISO. And you can see we're streaming at between 6 megabytes a second and about 620. Things seem to be going pretty good tonight. So let me know in the chat if you've had any stuttering or anything like that. I am going to talk about Studio B here at the end, so I hope you'll stay tuned for that. Had 2 meetings this week in regards to Studio B. Also did probably 8 hours of work in that Studio B. So can't wait to talk a little bit about that. Where did your multi-view go? I had it on my input from my A10 Mini Pro. That blows up on the screen in front of me when I'm doing focusing. I forgot to switch back to multi-view, but you can see multi-view is back now. Okay, so without any further ado, let's bring over the control software. We are going to open up macros, start a new page, and in the meantime, let's do this. Turn chat off the air. So this is the control software, and if I close macros, macros are something I use all the time. I also use Mix Effect. If you don't know anything about Mix Effects, and most of you guys that are listening live probably know about Mix Effect, maybe not, but it's an app that was written by Adam Tao. It runs off of Apple products only. He designed it specifically to solve some problems in a job that he was doing with a company, and now he has left that company and he's working with the app full time, and he's also working with some clients like I do. He has a very big client called Zoom, and that's all I can say about that. He can't talk about it either, but the cool thing is he designed the app, and I can use it to run macros. I can use it to change super sources. I can animate super source, so it's a great tool. If you have an Extreme, you can do great things with super source. If you do not have an Extreme and you only have an A10 Mini Pro or A10 Mini Pro ISO, then you only have the DVE windows, and you can do picture-in-picture. You can do flying key and all that stuff, but you can't do the same things with super source, but you can still use it, and it's great for macros. So macros are basically a way to write a code, program it on a button, and the Extreme and Extreme ISO, the new SDI out, the HDMI out in version has some keys on the front, 6 keys specifically. So that means that when I go up here to macros and open up macros, and I get this sheet right here, the first 6 macros I create, and that would be on page 1. So I'm using the first 6 macros. Those buttons on the front of my A10 Extreme will operate those. So if I'm shooting somewhere and doing a on-site gig, maybe I'm doing weddings or I'm doing events or concerts, and I have my Extreme there, maybe I have the cool case, right? The portable rig, and I'm sitting there quickly, I could program 6 macros for that particular event. One macro could fire up my HyperDeck and play an intro video and cut to the channel. Another macro could put fonts on for my main speaker. Another macro could roll a still image or a video up on a projector. There's lots of things you can do with macros, but you only have 6 buttons on the front. So the reason I love Mix Effect is I have access to all my buttons right here on my iPad, and we'll look at that here shortly. So creating a macro starts with a fresh open spot, but I will create a new page, and you have a create side and a run side. And again, when I have Mixeffect open, I'm just running macros, and they're already created. I can create macros in Mixeffects if I so desire. There are some extra bonus features. You can rename them in Mixeffects without completely re-recording the macro, where you have to go into record mode if you're going to change a macro, and then you need to not only rename it, but you need to re-record it. So what are some of the uses for macros? Well, macros are designed to keep you from having to control all the buttons. You can set time between different steps of your macro. You can roll HyperDecks. That's why HyperDecks, I believe, are so important for your live stream. You can also roll Playout B, which is a plugin that you can put in a Raspberry Pi, and you can use it, hook it up to your network, and your ATEM control software, which is what I have open right there, will then control that Raspberry Pi and roll Playout B. And there is an update coming out to Playout B very soon, and it should be a lot more stable. So that's a viable choice. I do have a Raspberry Pi in here, but I already have 3 Stream Decks. So once I get to Studio B, that Raspberry Pi will be being used all the time in that studio until I add more HyperDecks as needed. So again, creating macro starts with opening up macros, go into the create side. If you're going to run them, you go to the run side. So I could run any of these macros. So if I go in here, you can see I have an opening still image macro. So let's go ahead and run that. I'm going to hit it with my mouse. I'm going to hit play, and the still image is going to pop up on the screen. And then I'm going to go down here. You're not going to see it. And I'm going to run me and my laptop, which is this super source layout. So let's go ahead and run it. And there you go. You have my still image. And because I created a new macro tonight, I could actually fly my DVE in on the screen. Should fly in here. Let's see if it works. Not working. So must have to have Media Player 2 behind there. So I can go back and hit my laptop and me macro and run it. And I use these macros all the time. Some of the ones I create are layered. And so the reason it didn't show up is that it was behind a layer. And again, don't forget that your keys are layered. So when you have one upstream key and one downstream key in an ATEM Mini, ATEM Mini Pro, ATEM Mini Pro ISO, then you have a upstream key, then you have your downstream key, and then you have your cameras, and they're layered that way. But when you have 4 upstream keys and you have 2 downstream keys, you got to realize that they're layered on top of each other. So what key you use is also, you need to think about layers, just like if you were pasting up. I used to use poster board and buy letters from Brutson's, a supply shop, and I would cut out the letters and put them on the paper, and that's how you did a poster when I was young. Yes, it was a long time ago. And that's how I learned how to do graphic design when I was younger. Now you can do all that using Illustrator or using Word, whatever software you use. My point is, we've always had layers, and now you have the ability to layer things inside your macros. So keep that in mind when you're creating a macro. What layers on what? Even SuperSource has layers. Let me demonstrate this real quick because this is important to creating macros. So camera 1 is this camera right there. I'm turning it on and off right up here on the right in SuperSource. So I can enable it, unenable it. But let's move it over and see what layer it's on, because I have another box right here, box 2. So let's see what box is layer 1 and what box is layer 2. So let's go back to layer 1 or box 1, and let's just slide it over. Oh, there you go. So this is going to go over top of that layer. So in SuperSource, we have different layers. So if you're going to position 4 boxes on the screen and create a macro, you also need to remember that you have layers in macros. And that's true with the graphics below me. That is another layer. That is key number 1. And you can see right here, I can turn key number 1 on and off. So understanding how the control software works and how a key works is kind of the first step, and then creating macros is the second step. Because if you don't understand the layers and how things work, then you really get stuck and get frustrated creating macros. So keep that in mind. So now that's how you run them. Now let's go into the create screen and let's create a simple macro, and then we're going to create one complicated macro. So 2 macros tonight. That's all we're going to cover. But I am going to do a 20-minute video where I do more than one macro, and I already have some videos linked below where I created a macro that runs 3 HyperDecks. So I can run a video with a stinger in between and another video, and I did a macro training on that right here on my channel, so check that video out. Okay, so we're going to go to the empty page, and we're going to hit the plus icon, which opens up this screen so I can now name the macro. So we're going to call this test 1. So we called it test 1, except for I can't reach the keyboard, evidently. So let's try that again. Test 1. Okay, record. So now I'm recording. So everything I do is recorded. I'm not what I'm saying here. That's not being recorded. Remember, recording macros while you're live is not the easiest thing to do. So keep that in mind. If you're going to do a video on how to create macros, then you probably don't want to be recording and broadcasting live, because everything I do, I have to tell it to do to turn things on and off. So I'm going to do a simple macro. If I just wanted to turn on this particular logo, right? So I'm turning it off and on, so that just got recorded. But I got to make sure that this logo is ready. So I'm going to go down here to my media pool. And inside my media pool, we'll move the macro record screen out of the way. And I've got to drag over in media player 1 that logo. And then I may also drag over my background, which I'm using right now. That's media player 2. Now, if you're in an A10 Mini, A10 Mini Pro, A10 Mini Pro ISO, you only have one media player. In an extreme ISO, including the SD versions, you have 2 media players, and you actually get more when you go to the new consoles. They don't record, they don't encode and send it out and stream, but they do have super source. One of them has 2 super sources, and they have multiple media players, which is really an advantage. If you're using super source, you could have a different media player load in a graphic for every guest. So if you had 4 guests, then you could use those different media pools to bring in all 4 of their names. I only have 2 media players, so I literally can only bring in 2 names at a time. And if I want to use the background, I can only bring 1 name in. So I can bring a whole stencil in with all their names on it, and then have another one that I load that just has 2 people on it. But the nice thing of the new consoles, the new 2ME and the 4ME, is that they have more ability with media players to do some loading. They also have short videos that you can play from the media player as well. So you can do little stingers with individual frames from the media player, as well as some of the bigger consoles from Blackmagic Design had that as well. So I've loaded the logo, bottom third, lower third, and my background, just to make sure they're inside this particular macro. Now I'm going to go back. I've already turned this off and on again, but let's just go ahead and do it one more time. On and off again. So now what I've done is I've told my macro to turn key 1 on, and key 1 has over here, if I go to my upstream key 1, I have media player set, but the macros don't know what you had set. So you best tell it now. So I'm going to go in here. I will cut away from media player 1 and back to it. I'm going to go to the key part of key 1, which is the background layer. I'm going to cut away from it and then back again. So now I've told the macro that I want that loaded. I'm also going to cut away from Luma and back to it because I want this macro to use Luma. And remember, you have Luma, Chroma, Pattern, and DVE. So if you're using your DVE with one macro and you didn't program it to switch back to Luma, you may want to make sure all your macros have what folder you want to use: Luma, Chroma, Pattern, or DVE. Okay, so I don't want mask on, so I'm going to turn mask on and off again. I don't need pre-multiplied, so I'm going to turn that off on and back off again. I don't need flying key, off and back on again. So it's set. But if I wanted to do a flying key right now, I could program it in my macro. And if I was going to do that, I would probably create a pause, and we'll come back and do that here in a second. So, okay, so I've told it all the pertinent things. So key number 1, which is on right now, has the right media player loaded. That media player has my logo loaded. The background's in there just because I wanted to muddy the waters tonight and add one more step that's not necessary. But I always like to have that background there because you can see it. It's in SuperSource, and I don't want my macro to take it out. Now, when I run this macro, it's going to change away from the screen. Okay, so I never told it to stay here. So if I'm on this screen, it will stay here because I never told it to change screens. So if I wanted this macro to change to a different input, I would set it right now. Or if I wanted this macro to set my key number 1 to follow this particular shot, then I could turn on this button right here, which is going to cause that particular key to follow whatever transition I'm on right now. But I'm not going to do that. We're just going to stop record. And we stop record. So we're going to go to test 1, go up to run, and I'm going to play test 1 right now. So let's turn the logo off, right? And let's hit test 1. Turn the logo back on. That's just a simple macro. Now, what would happen if I was in a different camera view and I turn that off and then I run it again? So I'm going to run that same test 1 again, and it turns my logo on. I didn't tell it to change cameras, so that now is a perfect macro to turn my logo on and off in a live stream. So I've just created a macro. I could now access it from Mix Effect. So now if I go into Mix Effect, it has test 1 on here. So I'm going to turn it off, and now I'm going to tap on Mix Effect, test 1, and then there is the logo. So how does that work? Well, let's screencast here real quick. If there's such a thing as screencasting real quick. And I'm going to fire up Filmic Pro here. Actually, let's have a little fun. Please stand by. There we go. You got to love double take. So let's cut to this right now. So I'm actually using the double take app so I can look at you and you can see my screen. There's Mix Effect. So if I was to turn my logo off, so let me do that again using my mouse. And now if I was to tap right there on test, let's make sure that's in the frame. There's test, and the logo's on the screen. So again, I use Mix Effect to be able to operate those different macros, and Double Take, again, is an app that you can download and use it. It's a great app so you can see both sides of the screen. So if you want this tool, you could add an Osmo and have your camera both ways, and you could also add your mobile microphone, DJI mobile microphone, and actually be able to use that as well. And I'm sure there's a bunch of latency but I wanted to show you that macro and show you mix effects, and I can just tap it on the screen. So it updated immediately, created a macro, updates immediately. So it's great. If I need a macro right before a live show, I can create it real quickly and I can do that. And then it's available in mix effects right here within my reach, right between my camera and my laptop. So it's perfectly placed. So now let's go back to this view. Let's see, me and my laptop, and let's make a little bit more complicated one. So we're going to go in here into create, clip here, test 2. Try that again, test 2. Hit record. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take that logo. Let's just say I want it to fly. I want to be a little bit more complicated. So I want it to fly in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this key number 1 on and off. Now I'm going to move this out of my way. And I just want to make that logo fly. So I'm going to go down into my media player, and I want to make sure it's loaded in media player 1 because that's what's assigned to key 1. And then I won't mess with the background this time. We'll go back up here into key 1, and we're going to go away from Luma, back to it. I'm in key 1, going to go away from media player 1 and back to it. Again, I'm telling the macro where I want things to be: mask on, mask off, pre-multiplied off. I mean, on and back off again. Going to go down here to flying key and turn it on. You can see my logo moved, so I'm going to move that where I want it. Going to just drag it where I want it, and then I'm going to shrink it down. And then I'm going to hit set A. And now I'm going to bring it back. Click to full. It flies down there. And I'm going to hit set B. So now I'm going to take it to set A. Oops, I set A again. Let's do that again. Always make sure you don't accidentally hit the set button when you want to just fly it to get your macro ready. So we're going to just start it up here off camera. I'm going to hit set A. I'm going to hit full to run it in here. I'm going to hit set B. And then now I want to fly to A. And I'm going to hit the pause button right here. I'm going to pause for 2 seconds. And then I am going to either, I can fly to B, or I could have gone to full. That's just how you fly things. So you can size it, you can fly it. I can come from that side of the screen, that side of the screen. But there's some basic things I can do with flying. And then there's how it flies down here, directions. And I'm not going to mess with that for this. So then you may want to, if you're always using other keys, like I can have chat on the air, off the air. If you want to just be able to put this logo there anytime you're doing anything, then don't touch anything. But let's say I wanted to make sure I was going to have everything else off, that I would want to turn everything else off and then back on again. But this is a simple macro to turn a logo on, and then now it's even a little bit more complicated, but I want to fly the logo. So now we make sure this is still on the air after the pause, and now we're going to try this, make sure I didn't mess it up. Don't think I missed any steps. So now I'm going to turn that logo off. I'm going to go to run menu, going to go to test 2, and waiting for my computer to catch up. Now I'm going to hit play. And it didn't fly in. So again, when you're creating macros, especially when you're teaching on them, I do this quite a bit and I missed a step. So we're going to go back in here to create. Go to the create screen, go to test 2, hit record. We're going to record right over this, leave that the same name. We're going to turn this logo off, back on again. We're going to go to media player. I am going to drop it in media player 1. I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to go back up here to upstream key 1. It's quick away, back to Luma. Change from media player, back, key, back to key, mask on and off, pre-multiplied on and off, flying key on. Let's fly it to set to A and see where it goes. Full comes on. So go back to A. So we're setting that. I'm going to create a pause. We do a 1 second pause. Then I want to fly it to full. And just to be safe here, let's go back to fly to A. Let's hit enter in these boxes because now I'm making sure that my macro knows exactly where I want it. I've already told it what features I want on and off. So I've told it that I want it there in A. And so I'm going to again hit a pause. And now I'm going to go to full. And I'm going to go ahead and type in these boxes. Just hit enter. Can even do the rate it flies. And there we go. So it should fly now when we turn it off from recording. So let's pull this back over. Let's stop recording. Let's turn this off. Let's go up here and hit test 2 and go into run menu and let's hit play. And it flew out, flew in. Again, so it's recording every move you make. So I flew it to A, flew it to B. So you're going to have to start in A before you record, or you're going to have to tell it because it's a flight. So it copied both. So we'll play it again. So it's out and right back in again because of the pause. So every step as you build a macro is important. So now if you can go into the code using your text editor, you could change things, delete sections. I'm not going to talk about that tonight, but that's the basics of macros, basics of flying key. And again, I could go in and fix this one more time, hit test, hit record, turn this key off. We're going to turn it back on the air again. I'm just simply going to keep it where it's at and fly it off the screen now. So in flying key, I'm going to program it now to stay on the air for 2 seconds. And then I'm going to fly it to A. And I'm going to hit enter on those areas just because if I ever use this macro again, it would work. So we've done that. I do want to load it. And you should always load it before your pause, but it's already loaded. We know it's in there. And then you also would want to go in here and just verify what you want on and off. I do want flying key on, and I do want mask off, pre-multiplied off. And I definitely want to be in Luma, and I want to be using media player 1. So, and I want it to be using the right fill and key. And now I'll hit stop. We'll go to run, turn this key off, test 2, hit run. And it didn't fly in. So I don't know what is going on. I must have screwed it up. So let me slow down here, do it one more time. Test 1, we're going to record. Let's do this first. I'm going to turn the key off. I am going to, let's turn it on and let's fly it to A. Turn it on again right now. I'm going to record. I'm going to go in here and turn pre-multiplied off, mask on and off. I'm going to go in here and change to media player 1 again. Chroma to Luma. I'm going to turn flying key off and on again. I'm going to hit enter to these locations. I deleted that. That's not good. So I'll just reset this, set A. Okay. Enter these now. Now I'm going to give it a second pause, 2-second pause. Now I'm going to click to full. Now I'm going to hit enter in these. Enter in duration. Key is on. Let's turn it off, hit run, test again, hit play. It flashed, but there you go. So again, it's not an easy science, and you got to do it methodically and think it through by starting with it already in point A. That way, then I record the macro. I'm just moving it from point A to point B. Again, that's just a basic macro. I have videos here on more complicated macros, and I will not be rushing in a live stream when I actually do my 20-minute series on macros. So I hope you enjoyed me making mistakes as I did these macros, and also enjoyed my tenacity of keep working at it, because that's how macros are. And I've literally been making macros an hour before I went live, and have had them missed a step or didn't process the steps correctly, and I had to recreate it. So, but I love having the macros. I love being able to hit a button and my outro rolls, hit a button, my intro rolls. I love macros and learning how to create them and learning about the steps, and even understanding how the keys function and how flying key functions are the basics that you have to build on to create macros. So keep that in mind. Okay, so back to my PC, away from my screencast. Let's turn chat on the air and wrap this up tonight. Sorry, I went a little longer than I wanted to go. Let's just see if you guys have any comments or heckling you'd like to get out of your system. It's good to have you here, David, as always. And popping out. It's good to have you here. Good to have you there, Jay. And we've been talking about lots of things tonight. Hope you enjoyed the part that you've got in. Before we go, do you guys have any questions? Thank you, Hank. Still your hero. I'm glad someone is okay with me screwing up. I wish I'd had more time, but I added in that DJI RS3 Mini because I thought it was important to kind of this channel and things that I have coming up. Okay, so let's do this. Let me do what I want to do. I want to do overhead and me. Do I? No, let's just do this. Let me put this still image on the screen here using my media pool. Shut these macros. Slide this out of my way. Okay, so Studio B. We're going to talk about it. So, met with my wife, met with my mother-in-law, who I told you guys last week that I may have to move into Studio B permanently. So we had the chat last night. I also met with my IT guy, and it sounds like we can just run some Cat 6 cables back to the studio. I will bring my big switch into the studio because I have my modem that has 8 inputs, and I also have cable in that closet. I have a big switch there that has 24 inputs, Unify. So we're going to move that switch into the garage, and right under that ice chest there in the back above my head, kind of just off to the side there, you can see some junk there next to the post. We're going to make a little section in there as kind of an IT box. That's where everything's going to come in. And then obviously I did some cleaning in the studio. This is last week's picture, but behind those Those papers are just racks and racks of Rubbermaid tubs. I went through and got rid of about 7 Rubbermaid tubs because 2 of those racks are going to have to be removed, and the rest of them are going to be slid down where you see all of that junk in the foreground there on the left. Garbage can will have to stay in the garage. So I'm in the process of doing all the research I need to do to see what moving into Studio B looks like. We have made the decision that it's still going to have to be able to take my car, which really muddies the waters for me. But I've already looked at the cost of heating units. I've already looked at the cost of the IT going into there, and it doesn't look like I have to buy any new equipment right away to get going in Studio B. I might buy one device, we'll see, and possibly a camera, but I do have to buy a heating unit. I do have to put a wall up, and the wall's basically going to go right where that post to the right of that refrigerator is on the ice maker. So it'll come right across and cut right to that side of me. So that's my space, that whole space over there. I think it's 23 feet deep if you go all the way to the back onto the stairwell. And it's a full garage across. And next week, I will be showing you my house plans in the live stream and talk a little bit more so you can see it more visibly. Some of you are asking about where my studio is now and where the new Garage B plan is going to be. So that will all be on the live next week. And we're going to be taking about half next week's live to cover that Studio B remodel. I'm going to have some new pictures of some of the cleaning I've done. I may have everything that you see there moved. I do have an attic you can see up there above the paper. So I can put a lot of our seasonal tubs up there. So a lot of the seasonal Christmas and fall decorations are going to go up there. So lots of that junk you can see in there is going to be able to disappear. And so step by step, we're moving towards this B plan and the potential of this room not being available anymore and being used for family if things go the wrong way. Right now, things are going the good way. And so that's kind of the way things are. So I can put chat on the screen like this. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And so Joe uses lower thirds and macros for the Stream Deck, which is great. So you can use a companion app after you create your macros and then operate them from the Stream Deck. You can also make macros in the Stream Deck using the ATEM Mini, ATEM Extreme, HyperDeck plugins. And so you can do the same thing in the companion app, making macros that you can do inside the control software by Blackmagic Design, as long as your macros are working and companion doesn't shut down on you. But they are easier actually in companion than they are making them inside the control software by Blackmagic Design. So, but once you master them, and obviously I'm still a work in progress. Thanks, Jay. Yeah, the RS3 looks nice. I may add that to my kit. That was in stereo, you and me, Jay. I may be adding that to my kit. In fact, there's a serious chance that will be the first purchase in 2023 of gear. I don't really have enough land in the back to do a studio shed. We bought this house specifically to not have a big backyard. And so if we were to sell the house next door, it's a very small backyard. So a shed really isn't an option. I have a hot tub out there. I already have a shed next to my house. I could potentially extend the pad, and I'll do a photograph back there and bring that next week. But yeah, there might be a chance that I could build back there. So, and we talked about that a couple years ago, but it hasn't been part of our recent conversation. So back to this build real quick. Not going to probably do anything to the floor other than paint it and seal it. Taking everything out when I get ready to do the wall and remodel. That's why we're going to try to get everything down to a minimum. Obviously, my cabinets would go on the Shannon side of the garage, and I'd paint one side, and then we'd paint the other side. But that remodel is going to pretty much still need to be able to park a car there when necessary, but also be perfect for doing the live stream as well as doing video production. And Shannon's still going to be doing some dollhouse building inside that studio on this long wall right above me. So she'll have half that space, and then we'll have a cabinet or two in the other garage along the main wall in there. So a lot of the stuff she has there now will be going, and we'll be using it more strategic for crafting in there. So, okay, so let's wrap this up. Cool. Well, I have some good videos on here. Well, that didn't work over top of me. So let's cut back to me and the logo. Yeah, I like to do these. I want to cover live streaming. That's why I shared OBS tonight and how I built that whole intro video in OBS. I could do it live. I could have done an intro video live in OBS by casting the screen full into my A10 Mini Pro as a third monitor. But again, I didn't do it that way. I pre-recorded it. It's just one less thing to go wrong. I didn't use the Skycam tonight either. It just was not working in my PC for some reason in OBS. I just did an update today in OBS, so I may have messed something up. We'll see. I'll be dinking with that tomorrow to see how that works. But I will try to have some better videos on here that you can go back to as a resource for making macros. That would be cool. So Jay, maybe I will send you some dimensions. I'll have those dimensions also live show next week, but that 3D model would be pretty cool. So we'll be in touch via email. Okay, so we've covered a lot tonight. We talked a little bit about the new Stream Deck and the plugins that I'm downloading. I will have those hopefully downloaded and ready to demo to you next week. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the Stream Deck next week, but we will take a few minutes just to show you the kit all loaded into my Stream Deck Plus. I will let you guys know if I order a RS3 Mini, how that works out. I am still getting ready to do some heavy lifting in the garage, as well as studying for my my license to be able to be a drone pilot, Part 107 license. And so I'll keep you guys posted on that. Pretty much took December off, except for all the things I normally do in the studio and the clients that I already have. So we looked at the RS3, we looked at the Stream Deck, we looked at the ability to go to sideshowfx.net. Again, there's links below, links to other videos that I talk about macros below. Lots of links tonight. And if you use the Amazon associate links, I would really appreciate it. And anytime you decide that you want to take advantage of Super Chat, I have this new firework thing that I can set off in the middle of a live stream. Again, thank you guys always for your likes. And if you have not subscribed and you watch this video tonight, please consider subscribing. If you haven't hit the like button, thank you so much for hitting the like button, for sharing these videos. Ring the bell if you want to be reminded when my Stream Deck video comes out. I'm pretty sure I will have a Stream Deck lesson 1 out by Friday. I'm trying to set myself deadlines, and another one on Monday and another one on Wednesday until all 6 of those are released. So if you'll support those, I would appreciate it. Again, it's going to be how to use the Stream Deck. I'm even going to cut some unboxing footage that I had from our live stream that night into one of those videos, just so people can see it come out of the box, even though I'm not going to do a unboxing. It's already been unboxed. So thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's live. If you have any last minute questions or thoughts or feedback, I have a few more seconds before I'm going to go. And I have chat on the air if you have anything else. Yeah, OBS updates probably are the worst. Sometimes they have no issues. Other times I have big issues. You're welcome. It's always fun to do lives. And thank you, Jay, for saying that. I should probably leave that on a little bit longer. I do put energy into the live streams. I was in the studio for about 8 hours total, getting ready for tonight's live, and obviously the RS3 Mini became a part of tonight as well. And then a lot of what I do in here is research on some of the things that I'm working on. I wish I could do more in-depth demos while I'm live, but I am using my Stream Deck Plus my Stream Deck ISO while I'm live, so it's really hard to mess things up when you're live. One day I'll get a web presenter HD and not have to stream from my Stream Deck. That's part of the plan this year. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Doug. Yes, I have given up on the post shows, and I'll tell you why. With the Studio B plan, until I don't have to give it up, I have a complete different idea, and we'll close with this, for my post shows. So what I want to do is be able to do a live stream and then cut to Studio B to do some demos. And so people can stay for that or go. So there'll be a break, but I'll just stay live. And then I will do some uploads from both the post show and the pre-show. I'm not sure I'm going to call it the post show when we get going on that, but I do like the idea of being able to get up from here and go into a different room. So that's kind of the plan. So until I get things dialed out, I've been using these evenings instead of doing the post show. I've been using these evenings to go in and make notes. Again, your feedback is very important, Jay. Thank you so much for your feedback, to make us think outside of the box, for your offer to do a 3D model. All of that's amazing. The idea of he shed in the backyard, obviously the same investment to build a building out there. I'm not sure what the codes are, so I'd have to check into that, but I sure appreciate the input, as well as all of the rest of you live, some of you that had to go. Thank you for popping in and letting me know what your plans are. Again, all the way to Australia with David being joined with me, in Jamaica tonight with Tony on vacation. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, both to Freddie's daughter and Tony's wife. That's great that you guys are out celebrating and not on with me tonight live. Family is way important than this, but thank you so much for making Tuesday nights live at 4 o'clock a part of your week. I feel like a rock star to have people that attend every week. I do want to grow the live stream, so if you have any ideas of what I can do to grow, let me know. But thank you so much for being in here. We do have a Zoom call coming up in about a month and a half. It's going to be every quarter, so I'll keep you guys posted on when that's going to be, and anybody who attends the lives that wants to could be invited to that Zoom call. You just need to go to my website, lifejourneyproductions.com, and go to the contact page and let me know. You can fill out the contact form there like my potential clients do, and just let me know, hey, Keith, I want to be invited to the next live Zoom. Again, we won't broadcast live, but we will be all on Zoom together. I have an account that lets me have quite a few people on, and so we can do that together and be on for more than an hour. So glad you're excited about Studio B, and it should be fun. I hope I get to keep it. My wife doesn't want me to have two studios, FYI, so it's definitely going to be for her and for me, and I think it'll be fun. Even I told Shannon at times to be her working on a dollhouse in the background would be really fun. So it would be cool to have her in the same venue with me, not big enough in this room. Yeah, multiple sets in here. I do have the table up tonight, a coffee table. So let's just do this real quick. You should still have audio on my lapel mic. So I could change camera views and obviously be in this set. But again, this is a set. I could have 3 guests in here. And then I would like to do one more version of a set in here. I have the table set, then I have the chair set. It just takes rearranging the cameras when I do that. But I like the variety, and I'm changing things slowly in the background. All the holiday stuff is down, and I have some of the regular stuff back up. And I wish I had Skycam tonight, but things just weren't working because I changed my shelves up a little bit. So good luck with that. Man cave, double at home. Well, again, that probably is going to end up helping us out with having some bonus space, because we got a smaller house on purpose, but that doesn't mean that it's worked out with live streaming and Shannon's practice. We have a bonus room above that garage, but my wife uses that for her business. She sees clients there 2-3 times a week, and that's her space. And then I took this back bedroom, and then my 21-year-old son's living here, but he's talking about moving out sometime in the next year. So if he does that, then that will be another room that we'll be able to decide what we're going to do with, probably be a guest room. So we'll see. And many of you guys know that if my mother-in-law gets super sick, she's battling cancer right now, then the plan is to put her here in Studio A, at least to keep an eye on her during the days, and have a bed in here or maybe a reclining chair. We haven't decided yet. It really depends on what happens. And she's actually feeling a little bit better this week over what she was last week. And we'll see how that goes. You're welcome. Thank you for showing your appreciation. And the DIY on my table is how TVJ found my channel. Well, a shout out to you. I'm going to leave this lapel on. This is the tabletop that just pops on a Costco table. This was my wife's idea. She helped me make it. And the cool thing about that table is it has different levels, so I kind of use it as an oversized coffee table. We watched the football game right there, and use it as a coffee table for chips and all that the other day. So I still get to use this a little bit as a man cave, but not much. And again, I haven't had a lot of time to watch much TV, but we did watch the football game here on Sunday afternoon. And now my favorite team in the local area is in the playoffs, and we get to take on the 49ers next week and in their home field. That'll be interesting. And I think we're 26% expected to win, and they look like they have the advantage, and we'll see how that goes. I'm just surprised that our season extended, and that's a long story, no time for tonight. So yeah, and I will continue letting you guys know as the gear grows in the studio. This year, all my decisions on any added gear is going to be very selfishly motivated. Shannon and I did talk about that because we're going to be investing some funds in the Studio B. So not going to be buying a lot of gear, but there are going to be some tools that I needed to add to the business side. And that's why the RS3 Mini could possibly be that perfect tool. And then I will sell my Ronin S and all the accessories to that to someone that's been wanting one of those. And that money will then offset the cost of the expansion. And who knows, I might break even if that Gimble RS3 will work for me, that Mini. So, okay, the chat just keeps coming in. So Costco had a $50 table. You didn't end up having to buy that. Well, I wanted something for my wife's podcast, obviously you know, and I wanted it to look elegant. And so the table having the functionality of folding down and being able to store was great. And I wanted to have 3 different levels of the table. That was great. So it's bar stool height, it can be chair height, and it also can be coffee table height. I just wish it was a little smaller, but not for her podcast. So, okay, I'll be at that game. Well, Joe, have fun. I will be right here. Wave at me in the stands. Oh, that's Jay? Everyday Jay. He'll be at the game, right? Cool. And a welcome. Yeah, that was an interesting game. There was some real mess-ups on the side of Green Bay Packers. Obviously, that interception was incredible at the very end. But the weird thing is that whole pushing the medical officer thing, that was just ridiculous. That really turned some tide at the end of that game. And crazy, crazy, crazy the way that weekend ended, but it is what it is. Nothing we can do about it now, and I have to suffer through another crazy game. We'll see how that game goes, and maybe we'll chat a little bit about that next week. But if you have any of your teams still in the playoffs, congratulations. That's a big thing, and enjoy the weekend. There's going to be lots of games played in the next few weeks that are going to determine who goes to the Super Bowl. And again, only one team wins every year. Everybody else goes back to building mode. And the Rams aren't in, they're out. So they won the Super Bowl last year. So it doesn't, just because you had a good team last year doesn't mean you're going to have a good team this year. They did have quite a few injuries. So, but enough football. Obviously, I could talk football. TVJ, you're in and around broadcasting sports, so that's why we're talking football. So that's it. I'm done. I'm going in, eating some dinner, going to relax tonight. But again, thank you for the likes. Please hit the button if you haven't already. And again, thank you so much. Look for that new Stream Deck Plus video to come out in the next couple days, and I hope you'll support that as well. Thank you for joining me on Life Journey Productions Studios, live stream Tuesday nights, 4 o'clock on Pacific Standard Time with a daylight savings shift. My name is Keith, and we'll see you in the next video.